Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk all about NetGalley. So once again, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm so glad you are here and you decided to click on this video today. So like I said, I am going to talk today about NetGalley, which I will start at the beginning if you don't know what that is. I am going to talk about what it is, how to get started, how I got started, and of course, every unread book that I have not yet reviewed on NetGalley. So let's just get into it. So what is NetGalley? NetGalley is a website that is used by publishers and any independent authors to get book reviews on their books that are upcoming. So a publisher puts it on there, they pay money to NetGalley, and NetGalley will have people ask to review such and such book after, they've read a synopsis or whatever, and then the publisher or author decides whether or not to approve that person, and if they are approved, then great, and if they're not, then they just get an email that says they're declined. But basically really straightforward. It's meant for, bookstore owners, librarians, any sort of bloggers, booktubers, book talkers, anyone that has some sort of influence in the book community. There are a lot of people also that just review books on NetGalley or on Goodreads, and that's fine too. Every publisher has some different criteria that they look for, and you'll find someone that fits. NetGalley is a really great resource if you are trying to get into book reviewing or doing any type of social media involving books. It is really easy to access, and they always have titles that are available as read now. So that means you don't have to wait to be approved. They are just approved for whoever wants to read them, and it is really, really nice when you're getting started. So I am gonna show my screen, so if I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I'm looking at my screen. But let's look at NetGalley. So this is what the homepage looks like. Easy to log in, and if you don't speak English, there are other languages available, and also English, but in the UK, because that does have an effect on what books are available based on if it's being published in, different languages. So when you click on your dashboard, you will see different titles that are recommended for you based on the previous books that you have reviewed, read. So it says my name, and then that I am a reviewer, my categories. It's also very fun because you can earn badges, which, my husband and I have had talks about this before, but if there's an app that gives out badges, you've sold me, because I have to get all the badges. And we've been talking about that for years, about how that's all it takes is just, ooh, a badge, I'm in. So I have just a regular member one, 100 reviews, and an 80%, which we'll get to that in a second. So this is basically what it all looks like. There's, of course, a really good frequently asked questions page. Really, really great resource. And NetGalley puts a lot into making sure they're helpful and they're doing all they can to get quality reviews. So you can look here at Find Titles, where you can search by, the title, author, ISBN, and you can also see what books are recently added. You can see things that have been most requested, generally is very much anticipated. You can also see how far in advance these are. So, for example, this is Kristen Hanna's new book that doesn't come out until February. There's a couple here that don't come out till March. And so it's really cool to be able to read books that much earlier, and you don't necessarily have to have a huge following to be approved for these books. A lot of times publishers will do read now for 24 hours. So if you go in and log in and download the book within 24 hours, you're automatically approved and you can read it right away, which is just so cool. So let's go and see what it looks like when there's a book you want to read. You know what? I'll go request this Kristen Hanna book. So you click on it and you can see full details. Let's see. You can see what date it comes out, and archive date just means what date you can no longer download it. So if you get approved for it, you still have to go back into the website and download the book. And so that's all that means. The categories, and you can read a description. Honestly, I would read pretty much anything she writes, so I don't feel like I need to really read that much. You can see the additions and all of that stuff. This is kind of important. So NetGalley has their own app that I personally don't think is great, that you can use to read the books that you get, that you can also send them to Kindle, but not every single book has the ability to be sent to Kindle. I would say like 95% of them you can read it on your Kindle, but the other 5%, it's really annoying if you're used to that and you then have to read on your phone or your iPad and your like eyes aren't used to it and it's just like not your favorite way to read. So definitely keep that in your mind when you are requesting books. So you can read other people's reviews down here and other books that people that have liked that book also liked. Then you just click request and it will ask you like, what about this book appeals to you? And I'll say author, and I keep hearing about this, and cover. And then I just send the request, and then my request is pending. So once that gets approved or denied, I will get an email that tells me whether it got approved or denied. So let's look at my shelf. Now under my shelf, I can see all of the books that I still have to give feedback for. We'll get to that in a minute. Feedback sent, so I can see all of the reviews that I have posted already. I have a lot of pages of this because I've been at this for like 3 years now, so I have done quite a bit. And then also under not active, I can see pending requests, declined requests, rude. You can also see books that have been archived and you never downloaded, and books that you didn't give feedback to. That's also something you can do. For example, it will affect your ratio, which I'll get to also in a minute, but the Bright Side Running Club is one on here that I know I downloaded the audiobook, but the audiobook, it sounded like it was underwater, and so I was like, I can't review this book because I can't understand it, but I can tell you that the audio quality is not great. I didn't want to write a review of the book because I really didn't listen to it. Because after like maybe 4 or 5 chapters, I was like, this is not going to get better. So yeah, I'm not going to finish that. If I click up on my name, I can see my profile. So my feedback ratio is 80% for now, which is what NetGalley recommends you be at to get approved for books. So that just means that I have, for example, been approved for 137 books, and I have sent feedback for 109 of those. That is just a nice number to hit, is 80%. I don't think it necessarily matters that much. There's a lot of factors that go into whether a publisher or an author will approve you for a book, because I've been at 80% for about 3 days now. I've hovered in the mid 70s for quite some time. I do try to review everything, but I also don't think that you should finish books that you don't like. So if I'm really hating a book, I will write a review that says, I really didn't like this, I DNF'd it at this point, and this is why. That's key. When you're writing your reviews, you want to be honest, you want to be constructive, because these reviews really do help not just other people that are going to read this book, but they help the publishers, they help the authors. So be constructive, but be honest. That is my best advice. So in your profile, you can write what categories of books that you read, different topics, and this is really important too, down here, to keep this updated. I clearly need to update mine because the last time I did it was June 13th, but I have my bio here that says all of my social media, Goodreads, where else I post my reviews, how many followers and subscribers I have, and my email address. And then you can also connect your social media so that they can easily check and see if they like what you do and approve you or not for a book. I don't currently have any reviews to submit, but if I did, let's just say when you click on give feedback, you can either copy paste right here in this box, or you can send your review directly to the publisher. This is much easier. You can also click post review to Goodreads, so that just automatically does that for you if you have it linked, and how many stars you would rate the book. You can also add links to other places that you have shared your review, whether that's your own blog, Facebook, well, I don't know if people really do that on Facebook, but anyways, Instagram, TikTok, you know, that kind of thing. You know, a YouTube video where you've reviewed it. So that's how you do that. And then once you click send review, you can also, they ask you a few questions about whether you'd recommend this book to friends, whether you are going to recommend it to your audience, whether you would like to be notified if the author wants to like do a Q&A and like any events and stuff. So it's pretty neat. Once you have been on NetGalley, writing reviews and kind of establishing somewhat of a relationship with different publishers, you will start getting emails with widgets in them for different books that you did not have to request. So this is really cool because sometimes I go in phases and I don't read on my Kindle a lot, and then suddenly I'm reading on my Kindle a lot again. And so it's very nice to get these widgets in my email from a publisher that's like, hey, we think you'd like this book because you liked this. Here you go. If you want to read it and download it, here's a NetGalley link, and you don't even have to go request it. So that's pretty neat. And I found some really good books that I don't think would have stuck out to me if I hadn't done that. I know for a fact I can say Lucky Girl, which is one I talked about a couple months ago when I read it. There are definitely some other ones too by authors that are maybe debut authors that I just hadn't heard of and didn't like stick out to me as something I wanted to read. And so like it's a really awesome way to establish a relationship and get books that you might not otherwise know about. All right, so now comes the fun part where I admit all of the books that I haven't yet read that I have on my NetGalley shelf. So let's see what we have. All right, so my oldest book is Lucy Ye Is Not a Romantic. This published June 21st, 2022. You're really, you know, gonna wanna try to read these books before they're published because that is what is beneficial to the publisher. But they understand that you might request a book and download it and maybe it's just not what you thought it was, you're just not really enjoying it. And I think that's okay. I mean, you definitely don't want to make a habit of it, but I don't believe in reading books that aren't serving you. And unless you're getting a monetary compensation, I don't think you need to be upset about not finishing a book that you were given for free. Anyways, that is a whole different video. If you want to know more about that, I will link it, my opinions on all of that. But anyways, we also have Maggie Moves On, which came out June 21st, 2022. I think I started this several times and it just never really clicked for me, but I kept thinking someday this is going to click for me. So maybe not. With Neighbors Like This by Tracy Goodwin, that's another one I definitely had in my mind as like, this is just, I'm not in the right time for this. I want this eventually, but I still haven't read it. The Hookup Plan, which I am for sure going to read this because I loved the other two books in this series, but I still haven't read it. I do also have a physical copy that I had pre-ordered, and yet here we are. Sinkable by Daniel Stone. I was also sent a physical copy of this from the publisher, so yeah, this is very shameful here. The Makeup Test by Jenny L. Howe. Again, another one that I wanted to read and just haven't yet. When Franny Stands Up. Paris Dalencourt Is About to Crumble. I started reading that and I just I wasn't enjoying it. I should write a review though, just to say I tried to read this and I just didn't click for me. It's such a shame because I did love another book by this author. You Never Said Goodbye by Luca Veste. I don't even remember downloading this book, but I'm sure it's on my Kindle. The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff. All right, now we are into 2023, so that's good. This is another one that like I really enjoyed like the concept, and then I started to read it and it just wasn't like speaking to me, but I was like, maybe sometime. So we'll see. Let's see. The Things We Do to Our Friends. I wanted to read this, but then I got influenced by other people's bad reviews, and that's always a mistake. I don't recommend doing that. Lone Women by Victor Laval. I've heard good things about this. I just haven't read it yet, and again, that came out in March. 5 First Chances. I would like to read. Came out in April. Chain Gang All-Stars, May 2nd. I still would like to read that because it's gotten some mixed reviews, but I think it sounds like a really unique book. I know I've talked about it, I think, on my channel before. Sons of Baseball. This I do want to read. I just gotta be in the right mind for a baseball book. That might be a good one for like October maybe. The Block Party. I got to about 60% through this and it just was like boring me. So I put it down for a little bit and then I went back to go read it and I had forgotten what happened and I'm not starting over. So I think I'm gonna power through. We'll see. Delicate Condition. I actually have finished that. I just need to post my review of it. And I've got some new ones that are coming out in the next year or so. December to Remember, which comes out September 26th. Getting into those Christmas books already. And then The Christmas Wager, September 26th also. And I have started that and it's really cute so far. Love at 350. I have started this. I'm like halfway through and I'm feeling iffy on how that's going. It's a cute story, but some of the tropes are not my fave. Let's just say that. And then on the next page, we've got People to Follow by Olivia Worley. Comes out in October. And then already some from January and February and March next year. The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. One in a Millennial by Kate Kennedy. When Grumpy Met Sunshine by Charlotte Stein. Keep Your Friends Close by Leah Conan. And Bye Baby by Carola Lovering. So those are all of the books I still need to read from NetGalley and just a little bit about NetGalley in general. One thing I do want to show just before I end this video is where you're finding your titles and you can scroll down and this is where you can see Listen Now or Read Now and you can have it filtered by all these different books. You can also filter it by category. So general fiction is what I tend to read. So you can see here all the books that you might want to read for just to get your ratio going and then just, you know, kind of get started with it. And there's a whole lot of different categories. There are different genres and there's honestly something for everyone. So this is such a great way. If you're just getting started as a book influencer, a really great way to like get your foot in the door, get your free books, and just kind of like get to know different publishers. Then if you want to get physical copies later, that's always an option once you've kind of developed more of a relationship with the authors and the publishers. So I'm gonna end the video there. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like me to do an entire video on how I kind of grew my Bookstagram, how I got started there, and how I've been able to get so many books for free, let me know because I would be happy to do that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it maybe helped you out a little bit. And if you have read any of those books in my NetGalley shelf that I haven't read that have already come out, please let me know so I can bump them to the top of my list. I'm always trying to cut down on my NetGalley books because I'm always requesting more or getting sent a widget and then I'm back where I started. So we're gonna try to keep that 80% ratio up. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'd love it if you would subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!